like I was going in to like win the fight or some shit. I was going into win the fight to like let niggas know like if y'all gonna raise maybe to a certain point, you're not gonna, you know what I'm saying, like you're gonna like get to a certain point where I'm gonna ask you, let's get it on. Like, you know what I'm saying, let's get it on. You know what I mean? Like, is that not, y'all understand what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't care, like, I didn't, in the moment, I didn't care who it was, bro. Nobody's gonna like talk to me no certain way on camera.
Kai Cenat's stream just turned into one of the most embarrassing moments of the year. And the crazy part is, the fight wasn't even the most viral part. Because after Kaleel and Madi2Hotty got into it on camera, after the yelling, after the swinging, after everybody online started clowning what they saw, Kaleel got back on stream and admitted something that made the entire internet stop. Yo, he said Kai Cenat put both of them on timeout, not banned, not fired, not suspended, timeout. And that one word changed the whole conversation, because now fans weren't just laughing at the fight. They were laughing at the fact that grown men got into a not physical situation on one of the biggest streams in the world, and then had to answer to Kai like he was the principal of the AMP house. And the internet went crazy. People started saying Kaleel was acting tough before the fight, but then once it actually happened, he shelled up. Other people were saying Madi2Hotty didn't even do anything crazy, that it was basically slap boxing, and Kaleel was making it deeper than it had to be. Then some fans took it even further and said the most embarrassing part wasn't Kaleel losing, it was him admitting that another man had the power to put him on timeout. That's why this situation got so big. It wasn't just a fight. It was ego, pride, embarrassment, brotherhood, stream politics, and the reality of what happens when real life tension breaks out inside a content machine that millions of people are watching live. And once Kaleel opened his mouth and tried to explain himself, he might have made everything worse.
Argue, right, chat? Argue. A lot. How many times do y'all see a physical fight between those three that I just said? That's my point. That was a point brung up by whoever y'all want to put the name to it. And it kind of made me think. I was like, damn, like, I really fought my mans on camera. Like, I was going for a smack on camera. Like, my intention in going into that fight was to smack my mans up on camera. That is so day room. So I take partial blame and like how bad we looked on camera, chat. I heard a lot of niggas was bashing Madi, talking about Madi, get the fuck out, go back to New York. I'm not gonna lie, chat. Bitch, I tell you, I got no filter, bitch. I tell you, we was put on timeout, bitch.
To understand why people cook Kaleel so badly, you gotta understand what he was trying to say. In his mind, he wasn't walking into the situation trying to prove he was some professional fighter. He was trying to make a point. He basically said he felt like once somebody starts talking to him a certain way on camera, there has to be a line. And once that line gets crossed, it is not about winning anymore. It is about letting people know they cannot just play with you in front of the whole internet. That sounds good in theory. But the problem is, when you say something like, we got to get it on, the internet expects you to actually get it on. And from the way fans reacted, they didn't feel like Kaleel backed up the energy he walked in with. That is why the comments got so disrespectful so fast. People were saying he asked for the fight, then got beat. People were saying he threw one punch and then covered up. People were saying he was talking like he was ready for war, but fighting like he wanted the stream to cut to commercial. And the funniest part is Kaleel kind of admitted it himself.
Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I knew I was gonna lose. Or I knew I was gonna get smacked up. Oh, Madi hand could. Oh, the nigga Madi could fucking scratch his hands while, his fucking knees while he's standing up. What the fuck do you think I was like? What? He like, chat, come on, bro. Like, but nigga, I'm fucking 5'2", 5'3". Oh no, I'm 6'5". And I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm gonna keep it a stack. One thing that I want to say and like bring up upon this topic, like, yo, chat, I ain't gonna lie. How many times we seen Dez, Talil, and Punga argue all the time, chat? I ain't gonna lie. Like, how many times? Chat, like probably like a million times, right, chat? Like all the time, right, chat?
The comments were brutal. One person said, "So you ask somebody to get it on and get beat?" Go. Another person said, "Timeout is crazy." Somebody else said, "Your brother putting you in timeout is crazy." And then there were people saying Kaleel was the one doing the bullying before the fight, so they didn't feel bad when it went left. That is the part that makes this situation messy, because depending on who you ask, Kaleel was either standing up for himself or he started something he could not finish. Kai Cenat, on the other hand, had people saying he was just slap boxing and that the whole situation got blown out of proportion. Okay? But this is what happens on Kai Cenat's stream. Nothing stays small. A normal argument becomes a viral clip. A little slap boxing becomes a headline. A timeout becomes a public humiliation. And when millions of people are watching, even a small moment can make somebody look completely different overnight. Then came the line that made everything worse. Kaleel said they got put on timeout, and you can tell he was trying to play it off. He was laughing. He was trying to make it sound like it was just part of the stream world, like Kai stepped in, cooled everything down, and told both sides to chill, But the internet did not hear it that way. The internet heard a grown man say another grown man put him in timeout. And once that hit Twitter, it was over. People weren't even focused on the fight anymore. They were focused on the power dynamic, because Kai Cenat is not just a streamer at this point. He is the boss of that whole ecosystem. He controls the platform, the audience, the rooms, the opportunities, the camera time, and the vibe. Okay, so when something breaks the vibe, Kai has to step in, and that is where this becomes interesting. Because on one side, people were clowning Kaleel for being put on timeout. But on the other side, Kai probably had no choice. Okay? When you are running one of the biggest live streaming platforms in the culture, you cannot have people around you turning every disagreement into a physical situation. It does not matter if they are friends. It does not matter if they are family. It does not matter if it was not that serious. Once it happens on camera, it becomes your problem. And Kai understands that better than anybody. Kai Cenat's streams are not regular live streams anymore. They are full productions. Every person in the room becomes a character. Every argument becomes content. Every reaction can turn into a viral moment. And because of that, the line between real life and entertainment gets blurry fast. Okay? That is probably how this whole thing got here. You have people joking, roasting, playing, arguing, trying to be funny, trying to be tough, trying to stand out, trying not to look weak, all while a live audience is watching every second. That is a pressure cooker. And when somebody feels disrespected in that environment, it can go from jokes to serious in seconds. And Kaleel basically said that was his issue. He didn't like being talked to a certain way on camera. He didn't care who it was. Even if it was his man, he felt like the line had to be drawn. But here is the problem. On stream, the audience does not always care about your reason. They care about how it looked. And to a lot of viewers, it looked bad. It looked like Kaleel got emotional, stepped into something, realized Maddie had the size and reach advantage, then tried to explain it later by saying he was not really trying to win. That is a hard sell to the internet. Because once people see the clip, they already decide what the story is. And in this case, the story became simple. Kaleel talked tough, fought Maddie, got embarrassed, then got put on timeout by Kai. That is the headline, that is the meme, that is the reason this thing traveled.
Why is everyone suddenly talking about Kaleel and Madi2Hotty right now? What started as a normal live stream quickly spiraled into complete chaos after Kai Cenat's brother Kaleel and Madi2Hotty got into a heated argument in front of thousands of viewers.
But let's be fair for a second, was this actually a serious fight? From the clip circulating, a lot of people online were saying it looked more like slap boxing than a real fight. Some fans even said everyone was making too much out of it, and that matters. Because if this was just two people getting physical for a second and then cooling off, then the internet may be doing what the internet always does, taking a small moment and turning it into a public trial. But the reason it still matters is because of where it happened. If this happened off camera, nobody would care. If this happened in a regular house, people would say they fought, cooled down, and moved on. But it happened on stream. That means the viewers became the jury. And once the viewers become the jury, nobody involved gets to control the narrative anymore. King Kaleel tried to explain himself, but the comments had already made up their mind. Maddie did not even have to say much because the clip did the talking for him. And Kai, whether he wanted to or not, became the authority figure in the story. Quay, that is why the timeout part hit so hard. It made the whole situation feel like Kai had to discipline people around him because they could not control themselves on camera. And for someone like Kaleel, who already gets hit with nepotism comments because he is Kai's brother, that was the worst possible look.
This is where the conversation got even deeper, because some viewers were not just talking about the fight anymore. They were talking about Kaleel's place in Kai's world. One comment basically said Kaleel needs to go and that he ruins the vibe. Another person said Kai really does call the shots, and that is the part nobody wants to say out loud. When you are around somebody as big as Kai Cenat, your behavior does not only affect you, it affects the whole brand. Kai is not just hanging out with friends on camera anymore. He is running a media empire in real time. So if people around him start fighting, crashing out, or making the stream feel unstable, Kai has to make a decision. Does he protect the friendship? Does he protect the family bond? Or does he protect the stream? And in this situation, it looks like Kai chose the stream. That is why the timeout makes sense from a business angle. Kai probably had to send a message to everybody around him. If you mess up the vibe, you sit down. But that message came at a cost, because once the public heard it, Kaleel became the punchline. This is the part of streaming culture people do not really understand. Everybody wants the fame. Everybody wants the viral moments. Everybody wants to be around the biggest creators. Everybody wants the camera time. But nobody talks about how embarrassing it can get when your worst moment becomes content. Kaleel did not just have a bad fight. He had a bad fight in front of the internet. Then he had to explain it to the same internet that was already laughing at him. Then he accidentally gave them the funniest word possible, timeout. That is a nightmare combination. Because now it is not about what really happened anymore. It is about what is funny. And once something is funny online, the truth almost does not matter. People are going to remix it. People are going to screenshot it. People are going to use it against you every time your name comes up. And for Kaleel, that is exactly what happened. The "I knew I was going to get smacked up" line made it worse. The "we got put on timeout" line made it viral. The fact that Kai is his brother made it personal. And the fact that Madi2Hotty walked away looking like he handled himself better made it even harder for fans to let Kaleel breathe. And look, nobody is saying Kaleel has to be some trained fighter. That is not the point. Most people on the internet cannot fight either. But the internet does not care about fairness. The internet cares about confidence matching performance. If you talk like you are ready to fight, they expect you to fight like you are ready. And if you don't, they are going to clown you. That is exactly what happened here. Fans kept repeating the same idea. Kaleel wanted the situation to go there, but once it went there, he did not look prepared. And that is why the fight itself became secondary. The real damage came from the explanation. Sometimes the best thing you can do after an embarrassing viral moment is say nothing. But streamers cannot always do that, because the audience demands answers. The chat is moving fast. The clips are everywhere. People are tagging you, people are laughing, people are making narratives. And if you stay silent, they assume the worst. So Kaleel tried to explain. And in trying to explain, he gave the internet more ammunition. That is the trap. Now let's talk about Kai. Because the title says Kai Cenat loses control. But it is not just about him screaming or reacting. It is about control of the environment. Kai's whole success comes from controlled chaos. His streams feel wild. But there is still a structure. There is still a rhythm. There is still a line that people are not supposed to cross. The audience wants drama, but not the kind of drama that puts the whole operation at risk. They want jokes, pranks, yelling, roasting, celebrity guests, crazy moments, and viral clips. But if the people around Kai start really fighting, that becomes different. That becomes a liability. That makes sponsors nervous. That makes platforms nervous. That makes the house feel unstable. So even if Kai was not the one fighting, the situation still landed on him, because he is the center of that universe. And when Kaleel and Madi2Hotty got into it, it forced Kai to step into a role he probably does not even want all the time. Not just the entertainer, not just the streamer, the boss. And that is why timeout is such a revealing word. It shows that behind all the fun and chaos, Kai still has rules. He still has authority. And when things get too heated, he can shut it down. When Kaleel said they got put on timeout, he probably thought people would understand it as a joke. But it revealed something bigger. It showed that Kai can decide who gets access, who gets camera time, who gets to be in the room, who gets to stay part of the content. And that is why some fans said Kaleel needs to get his own thing. Because when your whole presence depends on someone else's platform, even family can start looking like management. That is not even a diss. That is just reality. Kai built something massive. And when you are inside something that massive, you have to follow the rules of the person who built it. Kaleel may be Kai's brother, but on stream, Kai is the one responsible. And if Kaleel and Madi make the stream look bad, Kai is the one who has to clean it up. So the timeout was not just punishment. It was damage control. The public reaction split into 3 groups. The first group clowned Kaleel completely. They said he started it, lost it, and then tried to explain it away. The second group defended him a little bit. They said people are allowed to stand up for themselves, and if somebody keeps disrespecting you on camera, eventually something can happen. The third group thought the whole thing was unserious. They said it was slap boxing, not a real fight, and everybody online was being dramatic. But all 3 groups agreed on one thing. The timeout line was insane. That is the one thing nobody could move past, because it made the whole situation feel like a school fight. 2 people get into it. The teacher breaks it up. Everybody goes to the office. Except the teacher is Kai Cenat. The office is the stream, and the whole school is the internet. That is why this moment is so viral. It is simple, it is funny, it is embarrassing, and it is easy to understand even if you do not know the full context. That is what makes a perfect viral moment. But there is a bigger lesson in all of this. Streaming is becoming the new reality TV. And just like reality TV, the people inside it are starting to deal with real emotional consequences. The audience laughs, but the people involved still have to live with it. Kaleel has to live with being called weak. Madi has to live with people replaying the fight. Kai has to live with knowing that anyone around him can turn a normal stream into a controversy. And the viewers? They move on to the next viral moment. That is the cold part. Today it is Kaleel and Madi2Hotty. Tomorrow it is somebody else. But the system stays the same. Pressure builds on camera. Someone reacts. The clip goes viral, the internet judges, then everybody acts shocked when people start moving differently. And that is exactly why Kai probably had to step in. Because if he lets one fight slide, then the next person thinks they can do the same thing. And once that starts happening, the whole stream environment changes. It stops being funny. It starts feeling dangerous. At the end of the day, Kaleel tried to explain himself. He tried to say he was not scared. He tried to say he knew what he was walking into. He tried to say the fight came from feeling disrespected on camera. But the internet did not care. Because once you become the meme, your explanation becomes part of the joke. And that is what happened here. Kai Cenat did not just have to deal with a fight on stream. He had to deal with the fact that his own circle became the content in the worst way. Kaleel and Madi2Hotty got heated, the stream went left, and then Kai had to put his foot down. Maybe the timeout was smart. Maybe it was necessary. Maybe it was the only way to stop the situation from getting worse. But for Kaleel, that word is going to follow him for a while. Because the internet heard it once and instantly knew what to do with it. They turned the fight into a joke. They turned the punishment into a meme. And they turned Kai into the boss of the whole situation. So now the question is simple. Did Kai save the stream by putting them on timeout? Or did Kaleel accidentally expose just how much control Kai really has over everybody around him? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Kaleel wrong for letting it get physical? Or did Madi2Hotty push him too far? And be honest, was the timeout fair? Or was that the most embarrassing part of the whole situation? Like, subscribe, and send this to somebody who saw the clip but still doesn't understand why the internet is cooking Kaleel this bad.